For over 4 decades, Alan Jackson carved out a legacy as one of the most authentic voices in country music. With a southern drawl, a worn-in acoustic guitar, and songs that felt more like stories from a front porch, he connected deeply with generations of fans. But behind the voice that sang of love, heartbreak, and humble beginnings was a man hiding a painful truth. While the world thought he was simply stepping back from the limelight, Alan was quietly waging a battle with his own body, one he kept secret for 10 years. And when the truth finally came out, it didn't just explain why the legend was slowing down. It cemented why his farewell would mean so much. Alan Jackson was born in the small working-class town of Noonan, Georgia, in 1958, the youngest of 5 children in a house built around his grandfather's old tool shed. It was cramped, loud, and full of love. His parents stretched every dollar, but they filled their home with faith and hard work. Like many country boys, Alan took to music early, teaching himself guitar at 16 and singing along with records from Hank Williams and Gene Watson. He worked countless jobs, from repairing shoes to selling cars and hammering nails on construction crews. Music was a dream, not a career, but it stayed with him. At 17, Alan Jackson stepped on stage for the first time, performing in a high school production of Oklahoma. That moment sparked something inside him that no hard job or long day's work could ever replace. In his early 20s, he started a band called Dixie Steel. They weren't famous, but they had heart. Small-town shows, late nights, and long drives didn't build a fortune, but they built Alan's foundation. In 1979, he married his high school sweetheart, Denise. What they lacked in money, they made up for in faith and the belief that someday, somehow, music would find its way into their future. Denise became not just his partner in life, but in his dream. In 1985, chasing that dream meant packing everything they owned into a trailer and driving to Nashville. There were no guarantees, just hope. Alan worked any job he could find, including delivering mail at the Nashville network. Meanwhile, Denise, who worked as a flight attendant, made a bold move that changed everything. One day, she spotted famed musician Glenn Campbell on a flight. Instead of simply asking for an autograph, she explained her husband's passion and asked for a chance. Glenn handed her a business card for his manager. That single gesture cracked open the door they needed. Not long after, Alan found work as a songwriter, then as a performer. His talent was raw and real, rooted in experience. He got his big break in 1989 when he became the first artist signed to Arista Nashville. His debut single didn't take off, but his second song, Here in the Real World, did. Listeners connected with his genuine sound. The song climbed the charts and launched a career full of hits that embodied traditional country values. With each album, Alan's music felt like a letter home. He wrote and co-wrote most of his songs, telling stories of American life with a simplicity that hit harder than any flashy production ever could. By the 1990s, Alan Jackson was no longer a rising star. He had become country royalty. His albums delivered track after track of chart toppers, Chattahoochee Gone Country, Summertime Blues, Livin' on Love, and so many more. His music honored the past while giving today's listeners something timeless. Despite the fame, he never altered who he was. He stuck with his traditional style, wearing jeans and a cowboy hat, singing about love and struggle with the same sincerity he had when playing VFW halls back in Georgia. But success had its price. The whirlwind of tours and recording sessions weighed heavy on his marriage. In 1998, Alan and Denise separated. Fame created distance, cracks formed, and eventually, infidelity added to the pain. It nearly broke them. But through faith, counseling, and time, the two found their way back to each other. Denise later wrote a best-selling book about their journey. Her honesty spoke to many women who had stood by their husbands through fame or failure. Then came one of Alan's most remembered moments. In the weeks following the September 11th attacks in 2001, he woke up with a melody running through his head. He wrote the song Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning in only a few hours. It wasn't political or preachy, it was human. When he performed it live for the first time at the CMA Awards, the entire room stood in silence, then erupted into applause. That song stayed at the top of the charts for weeks, helping millions begin the slow process of healing. Even as he continued releasing albums, playing sold-out tours, and collecting awards, Alan was quietly carrying a private burden. In 2011, doctors diagnosed him with Charcot-Marie-Tooth, CMT disease, a rare genetic nerve disorder that slowly affects muscle coordination, balance, and mobility. The disease ran in his family, and while it wasn't life-threatening, it was progressive. Still, he kept silent. For 10 years, he performed and wrote songs as if nothing had changed, even as the disease began to show on stage. He didn't want pity. He didn't want the illness to define his legacy. That all changed in 2021. Alan appeared on national television and made the truth official. He had CMT and the disease was affecting his ability to perform. His fans were heartbroken, not just because of the diagnosis itself, but because it explained why one of country's most beloved stars had been stepping back. Alan said he would continue to perform as long as he could, pointing to country legends like Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard as proof that you could sing your truth even when time makes it harder. But in 2022, he made the decision no one wanted, but everyone understood. He announced his farewell tour, Last Call, One More for the Road. The name said it all. This was his final ride, a goodbye to the stages he had graced for decades. Fans raced for tickets. Some cities sold out within minutes. People flew in from across the country just to hear him sing one more time. These weren't just concerts. They were tributes. No pyrotechnics, no theatrics. Just a man, his guitar, and the stories he had always shared. While Alan was saying goodbye to music, he was welcoming something new. In 2022, he became a grandfather for the first time. His daughter Allie gave birth to a baby boy, and in 2024, Maddie, his eldest, welcomed a second grandson. Jackson, who had always sung about the comforts of home and family, now found true peace in living it. Holding grandbabies replaced holding microphones. And through the weight of his illness, he found light in the next generation. His final show took place in May 2025 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Over 17,000 fans packed the Pfizer Forum, waving signs, wiping tears, and holding tight to the man who had been their musical companion for decades. Video messages from country stars poured in. His family was there, emotional and proud. When Alan sang Remember When, the air turned electric. The applause didn't stop for 10 minutes. His final words. It's been a long, sweet ride. Left no dry eye in the crowd. The show was broadcast online and nationally televised, allowing millions to take part in the final bow of a man who gave country music everything he had. Alan Jackson didn't fade away. He chose his moment, told his truth, and bowed out with grace. Charcot-Marie-Tooth may have changed his body, but it never touched his voice, his values, or the love fans have for him. His songs remain, his story continues, and his legacy lives on in every lyric that made someone feel understood. He wasn't just a country artist, he was country made real.